to you in the first place. Want me to? Is that what you're asking me to? I have zero tolerance for hard work. I will do it. Just look. I wish I had one of those neat little earbud things that I could frickin' put directly at the direction. But as I've been able to tell, it's bouncing off from there to there. So, in this man tracking, is I'm gonna track down the human that's been fucking just screaming at the top for lungs at a frequency I've been able to isolate. And replay. I mean, shit, I am only gonna let Google get interrupted a couple times while I'm in the middle of transcribing. Because I can talk faster than I can type. Cameras on. Anyways, I was rolling over the psychology this morning that I was going to start rolling back into some of my videos on this. The whole artificial construct of self is basically only what people believe. So, you know, belief is obviously, at that point, a source of mental illness. Altogether, by definition. So what you believe you think, what you believe self is what becomes an ego. And what you believe yourself to be is, well, kind of why I had sayings like, well, if all you think you know is what you is, so what you don't know will kill you. In fact, more evidence that belief itself is detrimental to mental health is if someone has belief and someone breaks that belief, it can cause physical harm to the human being. It's called cognitive dissonance, and it can lead to a pulmonary aneurysm. It's another reason why aliens couldn't show up out of nowhere, because it would cause half of you people to have pulmonary aneurysms and die in the belief center in your brain that you all believe you live in. And that's the difference between belief and faith. Once again, I'm gonna keep this freaking roll going. Every time someone wants to sit there and play a head game with me, I'm gonna get a beer instead. Just letting you, my viewers, know. Thanks.
Thank you.
See, faith is something you can't know. Just like these people who think they can go ahead and sit there and goddamn think they can speak for God or something. Didn't you read Genesis? Give my ears a break. Even my dang cat's been going to her quiet room I made for her. And even Luna's been going half cuckoo. I still gotta wait till 9 to grab a burrito at least. I make sure I throw something in the tank effectively. The only other quiet spot I even got to clear over here. Besides that, I'm gonna have to probably double check over here after the post office is open too. But that's about it. Psychology of belief in a nutshell. Go back over the rhetoric of how the belief in self is the equation for ego. Ooh, and the bricks are poking up. You don't see that often. I'll get out of this range. Last thing I wanted to do was start a goddamn day with the beer, but I've been up since 2 this morning, so went to bed early. What happens when I need about 6 hours worth of sleep? I start getting a headache from it. It's like my seizures are the only thing that used to jolt me awake. Right as freaking REM started in. Yeah. If I was trying to drink alcohol, I could induce a seizure with just 2 of those damn Bud Ices, I bet. It takes about 3 or 4 of these before the alcohol kicks in. Why? Because the hops is so thick on it. Believe it or not, I also let the alcohol usually evaporate a little bit out of it, so it actually drops it to about 5 or 4% alcohol by the time I'm actually drinking it. But you'll see me do at least one crack open and do a salute. At this point, it's kind of as above, so below, not really. I found that terminology later. Mine was Father Sky and Mother Earth. And that's where I learned all the elements from. Even life and death are elements under that understanding. So I'm not getting like blazed by, I gotta try to find where I'm not gonna get blinked at by a bunch of lights at the same time. It's kind of difficult to find an actual decent quiet spot that ain't gonna get bombarded by a bunch of lights. This ain't too bad though. I'm waiting for them to open up anyway. Me one of them burritos, that'll fucking set me good for the fucking half the day. It is about half a day's worth of calories in there. Hey? Well, now it's living out of their vehicle. Not how that's there. Carrying the last of their lives with them. Once they enter the outer worlds at that point. A lot of things with psychology of energy itself. Let's say that all energy comes in patterns. And those are either naturally occurring, like ripple effects, or branching of a tree, or as simple as, or artificial, somewhat like how dominoes fall, which is still a physics. Well, that's a natural physics, but usually how the dominoes fall is from artificial constructs. Or artificial interference. I mean, the dominoes could fall in relation to, like, the ecosystem could fail, But the thing with the living ecosystem like this is that once something fails, it makes room for something else to fill in the gap. That's the difference between artificial systems and natural ones. So, I was on Twitter, and some people thought I was supporting Putin. I was, you know what? I support every nation's sovereignty and independence. First and foremost, every human being, every creature's sovereignty and independence. Okay, so here's an artificial construct. Just because I said don't kill Putin doesn't mean I'm vouching for the guy. It's just, I happen to know a little bit out of that region of what was going on at the end of World War II, into the Balkan Wars and the Persian Gulf, if anyone follows real history, the dominoes falling, and the power gap that would be created from killing President Putin. There's a saying for it. Better to trust the devil you know. And in my case, I normally kind of live by that kind of understanding, comprehension, wisdom. So, oh God, I'm looking at all those power lines. They're all leaning. The whole fucking system is on that over there. Anyway, good news is it looks like this bitch has actually been a good drainage system. Anyway, I got distracted by the world around me for a second because I'm trying to summarize here. From big picture to small piece of the puzzle. And there ain't really a puzzle, it's just called you zoomed in too close. Anyway, I can't use the same logic with it because the small scale stuff I'm dealing with, I don't have to appease the gods, okay, as some people put it. I don't have to play the game either. In fact, the devil that I would trust, I don't trust it. I don't even trust it. Put it this way. There's a reason I trust the God, but I don't assume what that trust is. Okay? It would be rude. I don't trust the Christian God because too many ideologies. Ideology, idol. Get it? Basic English here. That's why I was sitting there. I'm like, don't remember Sunday school. They want to play all this Bible thumping around me. They think they know things. Well, do I need to start throwing apples at you instead? That's basically what you're trying to throw at me. What you think you know. And I'm going to tell you what, it's going to hurt like hell when you get hit by a pomegranate. Because that's the kind of apple I'd be throwing. The symbolism of apple and knowledge that betrays. And, that's why faith you can never know. But you can have knowledge through what you don't know. That's called gnosis, or knowledge through faith, effectively. Which has probably another catchphrase for it. Basically what idioms are, the old-fashioned memes before we did it with pictures. course, if you want to get pickish about it. I hear about these people that were trying to claim they're pagan, and they've been wearing charms and all this stuff, and I'm like, that's cool, but that's not really what pagan comes down to. That's more of a Wiccan thing. That's an old priesthood that doesn't exist to a degree. And it definitely ain't the 5-pointed star unless it's interlaced, which means it overlaps itself, which then still comes out of Celtic in the first place, and the Visigoths, and a couple of rich French guys that decided to get real fucking drunk and come up with a whole magic system that's called Wicca. Or Wiccan, I can't remember which. There's a difference between Wicca and Wiccan. Anyway, as opposed to, this world of glossed over terms, like soft language, George Carlin was right. And I didn't start watching his shit until I was in my adult life. I'm like, man, this guy's just like me. He's like my hidden, he was like, not my hidden father figure, that'd be the wrong way to put it. He was, like a lost father figure. Yeah, more like a long lost father figure. That sums it up better. Because when he was up there on stage, I'm like, but he's doing what I do. How come no one told me I was like George Carlin? Everyone else is like, oh, you look like this guy, you look like that guy, you look like, yeah. Looks can be deceiving, right? I know I found a cigarette at least on my walk here. That's some leftover butt in my pocket. Yay. Not totally bumming it. I gotta take my gloves off so I don't lose shit though. It's probably how I lost my vape. That's why actually in the end, I used to wear gloves as a kid too, but my parents hated it. People always ask me questions, why do you only wear one glove? I was making an old school Illuminati reference, if anyone's familiar, that I wear the glove on my left hand because it's a way I will never practice. That's like back to this principle, since I'm out here kind of staring off into nowhere for a second, that I didn't know that they called people that lived outside of their houses homeless. And then I didn't realize they called people without houses altogether homeless. Like, no, I'm just houseless. I had originally decided to go live outdoors and go back to the elements. Not back to the primitive, but back to the elements, back to the actual substance, the very essence of nature itself. Even my own son was sitting there dissecting. Back in Ljubljana, he was dissecting plants for their constituent parts, all the nodes. See the node? In fact, I've been noticing that the crabgrass has been adapting over the years. Look, see, that's how it works, just like an electrical node. See how it pops right out like Anyway, the mechanics of nature. People overlook that. I bet they didn't know that most grass, if you catch it when it's wet enough, it'll pull out like that, easy, right out of its core. and it'll make the thing actually bush out more. Which will actually give you a fuller lawn, but it, you know, that's like get a bunch of autistic OCD kids out in your yard pulling it. There ain't no machine that's going to be able to do that. Even a robot couldn't really be trained to do it. It's just too particular. It's just way too many particulars to it. You almost have to have a second sense to it because you can't know the outcome. You can't know how deep that root goes into it to pull it out. As soon as you think about it, nature proves it's quantum. That's why when you're pulling roots, old school landscapers and gardeners will tell you to visualize the whole plant just coming out of the ground. Makes it so much easier. You see, the very construct and confine of your mind just becomes a lens, a glass house in your way. That's why, you know, technically having an apartment's in my way. I would still end up going out and about trying to find a final location where I could live, work at the same time. As I got a lot of independent stuff, people could call me a hobbyist, but I've got real university recognition for my work, at least acknowledgement of it and interest, but they have minimal requirements. I already met those minimal requirements a couple times, and everything just went to hell as soon as I got, it was like, as soon as I told people what I was doing, it was over. And by the way, I just got all this ready so I could talk to the university and start working with them. University of Toledo here. You know, they only have one Jewish Orthodoxy place I've seen there at all. That's really the only place I could really, at least, entry level, because it's quite a Jesuit undertone of the school. So, most people in America don't know all these little things like that. Hell, there's people out on the streets and in the damn system at this point that think some of these buildings just came out of nowhere. They were always here or something. In some layers of reality, they are correct, but not in the active timeline. Some of the inactive timelines, yeah, basically you're walking through a museum, people. I'm telling you. You are literally walking through the museum of a snapshot of Earth's existence. Because you don't anymore. Surprise! Though we're doing our best to try to bring it back from just a snapshot. Not too bad, though. You know, that's why humans were half designed that way. You know, soul tech is forbidden to teach anyone in the material realm, right? For ample reasons. It's one of the primary fundamentals that life can express itself in the material existence altogether at all, as opposed to just being free-flowing ambient energy that if it makes contact instantly changes. That's kind of the reason that physiality exists. For those who are more spirit-based in the world, quote-unquote, and not the negative or enclosed ideological constellation, I mean the literal essence of spirit itself. The source and origin. And there's probably kids that have better words for things if you ask them about that kind of stuff. Unless you just think every answer is just made up. Well, as a father, my son was telling a lot of stories. And I decided to look some of these stories up. He's talking about real history that he couldn't possibly have known because it was a lot of recent archaeological reconstruction type stuff that was going on. So unless he overheard someone else's story at that time, and his mother swears up and down that that's why they wanted to hear my stories, I said, no, I'm not here to give my kid my story. My kid's here to give me his. If you're trying to give your child your story, you're bordering on a parental superiority complex. You're also infringing on their development and free will. If you want some real child rights. What are you, an ultra-conformist? I'm going to tell you how to wipe your ass then. Well, you take the red pill and you still got to actually eat for real. Unless you're like me, an energetic, etheric-based being that can kind of feast on the universe itself. It's not the same as breathers. There's more substance ripping your soul out, frankly. Of course, that's how energetically evil I am, so to speak. Lucky I already did that. Yeah, Boer can't do nothing because half of them are already enslaved, like by Jewish law, like Hebrew law, like the law, before there was law, as you know it. Okay, think of it as species to species. Now, how about being to being? If you're an independent being and there's another independent being, and if you make contact, you begin sharing each other's information independently, creating a paradigm between both of you. That's how babies are made. Anyway, by the way, babies are everything you put into them before they're born, even before they're even conceived. Well, that's why it doesn't, there's a 3-part, if not 4-part principle to the individuality of being. You're one part your father, one part your mother, one part your own being, and one part the universe, effectively, or source. The universe, and then, of course, one part source. Some people call that God. The 5 trees in paradise that Yeshua was speaking of. You got a headlight out. Passenger side. Anyway, other than me sitting here I'm usually a very casual drinker. I only get hypey when shit's hitting the fan. So never mind me, if shit's hitting the fan, then I turn the fan on. Yeah, it sounds like shit was hitting someone else's fan. I enjoy that. Thank you for turning your fan on. Yeah, you know what? There's one woman on earth that could probably tell you that kind of shit. And you know what? Way back in the day, she would have been actually my real middle school and high school crush and sweetheart. But heart was never there. It was a crush. It wasn't physical. Well, it got physical, but it was never like that. It's like something else, soul side. How she knew what she knew. You know what? This woman I'm speaking of literally trained me in all the tricks that the chicks play. And in return, I taught her a little bit of what the dudes do. That's half as bad as my actual high school sweetheart, first fiance / alternative marriage. Fiance in a Christian manner, alternative marriage. If we went and signed for our marriage and divorce right now, it would be marked as alternative. Just saying. Like up in Canada, the laws of Azahara are not supposed to be written down because humans are clever. They were designed to be so. And so no one else could control them, frankly. That nature has a safeguard against control, that's what. It's not mating season. Shut up. It could be for some people. Some people have a natural mating cycle. What? Not mine. All you're gonna get is See, I never had to worry about the halogens because I knew they were easily filtered. That's why I supported the halogen movement. Not your fucking LEDs that are fucking moving strobe lights. No, argue with the fucking physicists on this one. What do you think AC natural lighting does with a DC pulse lighting? In the air. How about in your eyeball? Do you think your eyeballs are designed to see a square wave? Except with your fucking rods? I bet the cones get confused on every square wave. Talking about your retina. Your eye socket. The inside of your eyeball. Look deep inside your eyeball. Yeah, that's how crazy us Oculus is. I think it's in your eyes. That's why this control grid that I've been seeing looks more and more fabricated, artificial, and not of Earth. Seems I've got a natural occurring agreement going on. Imagine that. You know, imagination comes before belief. Imagination, at least, is a tool. Now, if you start believing what you imagine, then that ain't making it real, and that's just all up in your head. That's just a fantasy at that point. It ain't the same as wishful thinking. It's borderline delusional. You know what I'm actually experimenting on right now is I'm trying to actually get the fantasy system to work, and I'm going, that shit's been fried for years. It's bad. It smells like burnt chowder and Swiss. That part of my brain is dead. In other words, I'm probably recycling it. And all of a sudden, everyone backs off and sees this giant, like, skeleton-looking spider web. And they're like, I'm like, yeah, you fucked with the wrong shit. Acknowledge subsystem vector 0.61713. Trace route. Leave the bird shit to the birds, would you? Rottenberger. Half-blind guy. They would call me legally blind in some books. Half-blind guy looking for a garage to rent to do some metalsmithing too. Metallurgy. No, just trying to be more lucid about it on purpose. But with intent, truthful intent. My purpose is truthful intent. And my truthful intent varies based upon the consortium of things down. I swear. But, you know, I might as well be half conjured on this. Conjured, I said conjured. What is that noise coming from? What time it is? Probably open. It's a 40-minute video. My phone's overheating. But anyway,